Thank you all so much. What's up, Brew Crew? I am taking a break from my board game encyclopedia series this week because I wanted to do something a little bit different and a little bit special. You see, we just hit 500 subscribers here on YouTube. I know that's not a lot in the grand scheme of things, but for me, that's really amazing. Honestly, when I set out to do this, it was just a way to combine two of my hobbies. I love tabletop gaming, and I've always wanted to learn more about media production and video editing. I thought maybe a handful of people would stumble on my channel, but I never really thought I'd get to 500. And so I am super grateful, and I'm incredibly humbled that so many of you have subscribed. So to celebrate, I decided to do something that I had originally discussed doing back when I was streaming on Twitch regularly, and that's doing a full game collection tour. The logistics of doing that as a live stream had me a bit overwhelmed, but like I said, I wanted to do something special to celebrate. And speaking of something special, make sure to stick around because we're going to be doing a board game giveaway as an extra thank you to this awesome community. All right, let me show you around. Okay, let's get started. Let's see how many batteries this takes. All right, welcome to our game room. Over here on the table, I've got some of the stuff that I just pulled out that was either like hidden away in a closet or on like a bottom shelf somewhere, and it was kind of hard to get to. Here I've got my photo box. This is where I keep a lot of my smaller games, ones that I like to travel with. So here I've got Harbor and Biblios. I think I've also got Point Salad, Little Devils, Turin Market, and a few others in here. This is a really nice way to kind of store my small games, but also really easy if I want to just grab a few out and travel with them. Here I've got Mother of Frankenstein, volumes 1, 2, and 3. Picked those up at Origins last year. We opened the first one up, started to play it, and then decided, you know what, we're going to hold off on that. We're actually going to a cabin in the woods up north with the girls soon, and we're going to take these up there with us and maybe try and solve these puzzles together. I've got my massive Darkness 2 Hellscape, really cool dungeon crawl game. I don't own too many of that type of game, but that's one that I really like. Let's see, up here at the top, this is where I keep some of my little playmats, my iron clays. I've got some extra geek boxes up here. Vinyl Season's Greetings. That's kind of cool. I haven't opened that yet, but I'm kind of interested to see what's in there. Bandito Trio. This one's a new pickup for us, but we played this a few times with some friends. We've played their copy and had a blast playing it. We've got Dawn back there, which is kind of a social deduction style game. Right up here, we've got actually 2 copies of Silver and Gold. We like that game so much we ended up buying 2 copies of it. I've got my little tiny box version of Sprawlopolis, not the one that comes in the wallet, but the one that comes in the box. If I can get it out of there. Yeah, Sprawlopolis. Okay, this cube here, we've got Dune Imperium and the Rise of Ix expansion, at least for now. We've got Rajas of the Ganges. This is a really fun dice placement game. Unfathomable, which I have not had a chance to play yet. Isle of Skye, really cool tiling and auction game. Ankh and the Tomb of Wonders box that goes with it. This is one that I really want to get to the table a couple more times at some point. I'd like to play a few of these ones back to back because I really think that's where you would get into like a lot of the depth of that game. Down here we're getting into some of the smaller box games. Resistance, I've had that one for quite a while now. One of the first games that I played, I believe... maybe not. I don't remember. Up here, Abandon All Artichokes. Super cute deck deconstruction game. Gorus Maximus. We love our trick-taking games. Gorus Maximus is a pretty interesting one. Lost Legacy. If you're into micro games, that's a good one. 878 Vikings we've played. 1775 Rebellion we have not played yet, but I really liked 878 Vikings, and so I'm super curious to play one of the older titles also. Luna Capital, if you like games like Cascadia or Overboss, then I think Luna Capital is one that you should check out because it's kind of the same thing, drafting a tile or a card and then a tile or a card to go with it, and you have to place what you draw, so it kind of has that fun kind of inherent restriction within the items that you're drawing. Brussels 1897. I really like the base game of the big game of Brussels. I have not had a chance to play this one yet though, but I'm very interested to see how that one plays. It looks like it kind of a card game version of it, but it maintains a lot of the same feel as the base game. Up here we've got hardback, paperback. We've got Tiny Epic Galaxies and the expansion, and then Tiny Epic Pirates. Werewords. Oh, this is kind of cool. This is a little game that a friend of mine that I met through Twitch, he had designed a game that he printed off through GameCrafter, put my channel logo on the box and sent it to me. Kind of a cool spatial puzzle. That one's pretty fun. Werewords. I have played Werewords multiple times, but just not my copy, and that's kind of going to be the way of it for quite a few of these games, actually. Some of the ones that we've got I've actually played, just not my copy. Kokoro, have not played that one yet, but I like... It looks like... Generally, I'm not a massive roll and write or flip and write fan, but this one I think looks kind of interesting, and I wanted to find Avenue, but I could not find it, and so I grabbed this one because I know it's at least somewhat similar. Campy Creatures, great artwork in this game. Romy Rami. If you like Rummy style card games, this is like that, but with not only are you collecting like the sets of cards, but you're also collecting objectives. So that's pretty like kind of takes a classic card game and turns it up a notch. King Domino, that's one that we love to play with our kids. Bees is a super fun, chaotic dice rolling game where you are rolling dice and trying to collect different types of honeycomb to put into your beehive, and it's fun, it's frantic, it's fast. Thunder and Lightning it's a very Stratego-ish type of game, I guess, where you are trying to find a certain card within your opponent's hand. You're playing as either Thor or Loki, and you're trying to find a specific card either in their hand or on the table. Really fun. It's been a long time since I've played that one. Let's see, over here, Grand Austria Hotel. That's one of me and Jen's favorites, although it's definitely closer to Jen's top because she beats me at it
handily every time we play. And we have also got the Let's Waltz expansion. Basically, I keep the boards and things in this box, and then everything else in the main box. I can't quite get everything into the one box for Grand Austria Hotel. Beer and Bread, a really great 2-player game with multi-use cards. Targi is a super great 2-player game. It's got some worker placement, but you're also going to be placing your workers on some cards that go around the edge of a grid of cards, and then where your 2 pieces, or 3 pieces rather, intersect, that you'll also take the card that's in the middle. So not only are you gathering the resources from around the edge, but you're also taking the card from where your pieces kind of triangulate towards. Really cool, really clever worker placement design. Manhattan Project, Chain Reaction. Now, honestly, I did not really care for Manhattan Project all that much, but I thought Chain Reaction was a pretty interesting kind of distillation of Manhattan Project, where you are basically kind of doing very similar things, but just with cards. Vinyl, super cool game about collecting vinyl records. I really love the look and the theme of that one. Here we've got Roll For It. That's probably one of the oldest games that we've got in our collection. We've been playing that one with our girls since they were little. The Spill. This one has a really cool cube tower that represents a oil rig out in the ocean that has sprung a leak, and you are trying to save all of the wildlife. Ducks in Tow. This is an adorable game with some really cute duck meeples. And it's also kind of a really clever pick up and deliver style game also. Here we've got Genotype, obviously still in shrink, have not played that one yet. It sounds like one that I would enjoy, and I love that this publisher, Genius Games, does a lot of kind of educational type games, and so I'm really interested to try this one out. We are big Disney fans here in our house, and so we've got the Disney Haunted Mansion game, Call of the Spirits. Haunted Mansions, I think, are, amongst all of us, our favorite ride at Walt Disney World. Right, all the way down here at the bottom. If I could do this. Dulosaur Island, picked that one up used at the Gen Con consignment room. Have not had a chance to play it yet. Reavers of Midgard. That one, I actually don't remember too much about that one. It's been a while since we've played it, and I'm kind of drawing a blank on how that one plays. I wonder if that means maybe that one needs to leave the collection. Dinosaur World. We've got that. We've got the base game, the water pack. We've also got one or two other expansions for this one too, I think, that might already be in the base box. Basically, we have just about everything for Dinosaur World. Over here, we've got Amerigo, another great game with a cube tower. This one by Stefan Feld, one of my favorite board game designers of all time. Unicorn Fever. This is a very cutesy, but also very fun racing style game that you could see. This one's pretty beat up. I got this at a Dig and Dent booth at Grand Con last year. Unspeakable Words. Not the type of game that I would typically own, but for some reason I have a lot of fun with that one, and it's kind of fun to play like with the kids and stuff. All right, let's see if I can get up off the floor again. All right. Oop. And all the way up here, we've got Claustrophobia. And you can see all of my Funkos from the Funko Funkoverse skirmish game. All right, back up here. I've got Clank. I've also got the, what is it, Silk and something or other, the Spider expansion, whatever that one's called. Bruges, another Stefan Feld, fantastic game. Hawaii, I'm kind of torn on this one. This is another one that I'm not sure if it will stay in my collection or not. Typically, I like Euro games like this, but for some reason, this one has never quite gelled with me. So that one I'm kind of waffling on whether or not I'm going to keep it or not. Marco Polo 2. Love Marco Polo and Marco Polo 2, both very similar games. One of the coolest kind of dice placement games that I have played. Let's see, up here, hiding, I've got Archaeology, the new expedition. This is the new version, a Phil Walker Harding game. Great, like, set collection style game, with a little bit of Take That. Porta Nigra, this is a really cool game. This is kind of one that I think should get a little bit more love than I think it actually got. It's got a pretty cool, like, card driven gameplay, but also has some really cool plastic pieces where you are actually building up things like the wall and the gate and stuff like that, basically trying to create a pattern with these big 3D plastic pieces. I still got my old copy of Great Western Trail with the Rails to the North expansion. Heaven and Ale, this is a fantastic game from Michael Kiesling and Andreas Smith. This is one that, I don't know, it seemed like it was pretty popular when it first came out, but I haven't heard a whole lot about it since, and I guess that's just kind of the nature of board gaming, really. But this is a great game, and if you have not tried it yet, definitely give that one a try. Dungeons and Dragons Lords of Waterdeep. One of the earlier worker placement style games that I played, at least. Yeah, not much else to say about that one. Just a really great, a great gateway game, I would say. Okay, moving on down. We've got our Zombie Dice, one of the few Steve Jackson games that I own or still own. Rest in Pieces. This is I picked this up at Grand Con. I have not had a chance to play it yet, but it looks kind of interesting. I love the artwork, first off, but it's sort of a role-playing type game that uses a Jenga tower and has some kind of Take That elements. I don't know if it's one that I'm gonna like, but I am just super curious to see how it plays, I guess, more than anything. Especially with that Jenga tower, or whatever they call it, stacking block tower that's definitely not Jenga, whatever it is. Gold West, this one I have not played in a long time. Actually, the only time I ever played this, Z Garcia from the Dice Tower taught it to us at Grand Con, and I picked it up because I liked it and then have not played it since. So there it is. Orleans is a great game where you are pulling chits out of a bag, putting the chips onto your player board, trying to match certain combinations so that you can accomplish different tasks to score points. Gugong, this is another one that I haven't played in quite a while, but I remember having really cool combination of card play with worker placement. I need to get that one back to the table. Rocky Road a la mode, super cute small game, all about delivering ice cream on your little ice cream trucks with some kind of wild looking cartoony artwork. This is a weird one. If you have seen this game before, leave a comment. I'm curious if anybody has actually played this game. This house is haunted. All right, well, that was battery number 1. So we were talking about this house is haunted. As I was saying, this is one that I heard about first on a Secret Cabal episode, and it sounds so weird. Basically, you're putting decks of cards in different rooms of the house, and then everybody meets up at a table, and you're trying to gather specific cards from these decks, but you might pull a card that makes you hide in the room and jump out and scare the next person to come in. It sounds just so off the wall, but I'm I'm so interested to play this. I would love to play this around Halloween or something. It's one it's kind of hard to get a group of people together to play it. Let's see, down here we've got a Rajas of the Ganges goodie box that I have not opened yet. Hive Pocket, great abstract game with a bunch of pieces that move in very different ways. Basically, you're trying to surround your opponent's queen bee. Everdell. We also have the Pearlbrook expansion in here, although I haven't played with the expansion yet, but I really like Everdell. Eclipse. This, obviously, we haven't played that one yet either. This was a pickup. Oh, sorry. This is Eclipse. Eclipse is open. Shadows of the Rift, the expansion, is not. This is one that I picked up from Brian Lenz, owner and founder of Grand Con, and just have not had a chance to get that one to the table yet. Maybe I can talk our TI4 group into playing that one instead one of these days. On Tour, great roll and write. Difficult. I never do well at that game. Difficult for me, at least. I guess we'll say it that way. Just one. One of the best party games to come out recently, in my opinion. Super fun, and super kind of... this is one that's super easy to get people into playing, because there's not a lot of... it's very low pressure, I guess we'll put it that way. Seven Wonders Duel and Seven Wonders Duel Pantheon. Great 2-player game. Interesting way of doing a 2-player drafting game along with the full version of Seven Wonders. Obviously, this is an older copy. This is not the new 2nd edition. That's the old version. Sushi Go. Speaking of really great drafting games, this is another one that this might be, if it's not now, it at least has been our daughter's favorite game at one point. Oink Games. We tend to like Oink Games a lot here. And Tiger and a Dragon, I thought, was a really interesting game. It's super abstract, and the theme doesn't really make a lot of sense for what the game is, but the game is good. Shamans, like I said, I like trick-taking games. From what I understand, this is a kind of a trick-taking game with some cool twists. Have not had a chance to get that one to the table yet. Down here, we've got Champions of Midgard. Now, I said Reavers of Midgard is one that I really don't remember too much. Champions of Midgard, we've played a lot. We do have the Valhalla and Dark Mountains expansion for it. Fantastic game. Road to El Dorado. I think I've only played this maybe once. I think just the one time. Interesting deck building racing game. Pillars of the Earth, still, I think, one of the more clever worker placement games that I've played. That it's clever, but it remains approachable. It's not. Its cleverness did not come from complexity. Downforce, I think this is very nearly my favorite racing game. Great one from Restoration Games, where you are playing cards and controlling all of the cars. It's more of a betting game than a racing game, really, but it's fantastic. All right, and over here we're just gonna work our way back up on this side. Kabuto Sumo. If you've got kids and you want to play a really cool dexterity game with them, I would definitely recommend checking out Kabuto Sumo. You are playing as bugs and trying to knock each other off of the stump. It's great. It's super cute. Railways of the World. This is one that I had heard a lot about. Picked it up. Only had a chance to play it once so far, but I really liked it. So this is another one that I'm really excited to get to the table again. Kapow. This one is one that we had a chance to check out at Gen Con last year. And basically, you are rolling dice to fulfill recipes to do different attacks on your opponent. Similar to, but definitely different from Dice Throne. Dream Home. Really cool drafting game that we like to play. This is one that our girls will play with us. Irish Gauge. I really like these capstone train games in the Iron Rail series. So Irish Gauge and Iberian Gauge I've played so far. I have not played I guess it's the second one. I can't even remember what it's called at this point, but I've played both Irish Gauge and Iberian Gauge and really enjoyed both of those. Maracaibo, fantastic. I talked about that one recently in my top 100. Tussie Mussy, great travel game from Elizabeth Hargrave. And then Circle the Wagons, another fantastic button shy game. Keyflower, auction game where you are bidding on tiles to put into your estate, village, whatever you want to call it. But basically you're bidding using meeples, but once a person has put meeples of a certain color on a tile to bid for it, you can only bid for it with meeples of the same color. And so you're trying to remember what your opponents have, trying to make sure that you can outbid them with a specific color. There's even a way to get a color that's generally not available. So you can kind of try to weasel your way into a win that way. Wild Tiled West, another great game from Direwolf, same company that does Dune Imperium up there. Wild Tiled West is a really great polyomino tile laying game with kind of a cool tile selection mechanism where you're using dice. The Loop is a really fun cooperative game where you are dropping imagine Pandemic with a cube tower. It's it's a little bit like that, where you are dropping these bad things into a little tower in the center of the table, and it's going to come out in one of 3 different sections, and those are the sections that you're going to have to worry about. Oh. Blue Lagoon. This is a Reiner Knizia game. It looks great, sounds great, looks beautiful. Have not played it. Zermatt from Catastrophe Games. This is one that I picked up at Origins. This company, Catastrophe Games, is very local to me, not very far down the road here. Again, have not had a chance to play that one yet, but we got a rundown of it at GrandCon, or sorry, not at GrandCon, at Origins, and just excited to buy a game and support a local publisher. Meeple Circus, now this is one that I will admit that I'm not a huge fan of, but my wife and daughters really enjoy it, so that one stays on the shelf. Clans of Caledonia, I am a huge fan of. This is one of my favorite games of all time. Very Terra Mystica, Gaia Project-y, but set in Scotland, and you're making... what are you making? You're making breads and cheeses and whiskeys and things like that. Fjords, this one just got a nice new reprint, so I have the old edition, but this is another great two-player only game where you are putting out tiles, and then basically you're putting out tiles and then claiming spots so that you can try to cut off your opponent, because the second part is kind of an area cutting off type of game. So you've got the first half that's tiling, and then the second half that's like almost like a go type of area cutting off style of game. Jump Drive, Race for the Galaxy on speed, I guess. Up here, again, this is another instance of I have played this game a bunch, just have not opened my copy of Port Royal Big Box. I had a different copy of Port Royal that I played the mess out of, and just haven't opened this version of it yet. Happy Salmon, because we've got kids who like to be loud. Oracle of Delphi. This is a Steffenfeld game that I have not played much of, at least not in a while. I've played it multiple times, but it's been a long time since we've played it. And I remember liking the way that the dice work, but it is pick up and deliver, which is a mechanism that is pretty hit or miss for me. Aquasphere. Boy, man, it's been a long time since I've played Aquasphere. I barely remember how to play this one. This is one that needs to get to the table again. Rialto. This is a cool kind of drafting game where you're setting out the hands of cards that you're going to draft an entire hand of cards, not just one card at a time. But that's going to kind of set you up for what you're going to be doing each round. We've got our Hobbit Love Letter. If I'm going to choose one of the versions of Love Letter, I'm a big fan of anything Tolkien, so that one's going to be coming home with me. Morels. This is another great two-player game. This is card drafting kind of out of a row. You have access to the first few, but if you want to go farther, you have to spend walking sticks, and basically you're trying to gather up sets of mushrooms to cook in your frying pan to score points. Okay. Fox in the Forest and Fox in the Forest Duet, both, again, we really like trick-taking games. Fox in the Forest has a really cool thing where you're trying to not necessarily get the most tricks. You are trying to get the kind of hit the sweet spot as far as how many tricks you're getting. If you don't get enough, you haven't done well enough, you don't score as many points. If you take too many, you are greedy, and you also don't score as many points that way either. So kind of an interesting thing where you're trying to win, but not win too much, which is kind of a cool take on trick-taking. And speaking of clever trick-taking, Cat in the Box, this is This is a hard one to explain. You almost kind of have to see how it plays to understand how that goes. Basically, it's trick taking where the cards have no suit. You determine the suit of the card when you play it. You really have to kind of see that one in action to see how that goes. Spachi Bachi. We got Space Base. I'm not a huge fan of Machikoro or other games like that, but this is one that I always have fun when I play that one. Camel Up, one of my favorite, like, early on betting racing games where you are stacking camels and they're gonna run in different directions, and it's a chaotic, fun betting game. Milestones, very underrated game where you are going, it's basically, it's like a rondel game, but you have the option to change the spaces on your rondel as you go and kind of boost them up. But if one gets too strong, the king is kind of a jerk and he's going to take away your workers. So really interesting game. Like I said, pretty underrated. Coimbra, fun, fast. This is a really cool dice placement game. Every time we play this one, I'm always almost shocked at how quickly it plays. Let's see. What's going on here? Up there, we've got Feast for Odin and the Norwegians expansion. Well, one of my favorite Uwe Rosenberg games. Right next to it, my favorite Uwe Rosenberg game, Glass Road. Super cool game with some really neat card play, and those resource wheels are just such a cool puzzle. Pandemic. This game is probably more than most other games in our collection responsible for where I am today in board gaming. One of my earliest favorite games. We would set this one up and play it just back to back to back, especially if we didn't beat it the first time. And Pandemic Iberia. This is kind of another cool take. There are tons of different types of Pandemic out there now at this point. We still have the base. We still have Iberia. I think we have one more that you'll probably see later on. Merchants and Marauders, sandboxy pirate game. One that seems to always take a very long time to play because of the port actions that you can take, but I really enjoy it when I get it to the table. It's very hard to find the time for. Stone Age, classic worker placement with dice rolling. Dinosaur Island Roar and Write. This is one that I have not played yet. Obviously, it's still in shrink, but I like Dinosaur Island. I like Dinosaur World. Very interested to try Dinosaur Island Roar and Write. Ex Libris. We've got the first edition version of Ex Libris. This is one that I almost prefer to play the solo mode. I think the solo mode in Ex Libris is really great. The multiplayer mode is good, but I think the solo mode for that is fantastic. Brussels 1893. You heard me talk about the card game version of it before. This one got a newer edition. I don't know if they changed much with it. Maybe they changed a little bit. They definitely updated the box art for it. The components on the inside don't look like they changed a lot, but I have not had a very close look at that yet, so I can't really say one way or the other. Trois is a really interesting kind of worker placement with dice type of game. You're going to be putting your workers on different spaces on the board, which will determine what color dice you get. The dice are also going to be how you defend the city and complete different actions for points. I have not had a chance to try Black Angel yet. I don't know. I kind of like the more or less simplicity of Trois, so I don't know that I would like Black Angel as much as I like Trois. Oh, we do have the Ladies of Trois expansion in here as well. Virtual Revolution. This one, I think, is kind of flying under the radar a little bit. This is a game based on a movie. And first of all, I think that cover is fantastic. Isn't that a gorgeous cover? But it's a little bit similar to Discworld Ankh-Morpork, where you are trying to move out across a map and take control of certain areas. Again, it's not one that I'm hearing a whole lot of people talk about, and I'm wondering if people are playing this one. But if not, I would recommend checking this one out. It did make my best of 2023 list. Secrets. This is a really fun, very chaotic hidden role game from Eric Lang and Bruno Fedudi, where your allegiance, so everybody plays either CIA, KGB, or the hippie, and basically your allegiance can shift throughout the game. Little bit like in Cockroach Poker, where you're going to be handing a card to an opponent. They're going to decide whether to keep it or not. And then that card that they flip over might affect what happens with the allegiances that are in front of you. Basically, things are going to go crazy. Citrus, fantastic game from Jeff Allers. This one is... It looks super bland when you first set it up, but once people start putting all of these different colored tiles on the board, super gorgeous game. Colosseum. This one is one that I had heard a lot about. I think I've only played it once, though, since we got it. I think this is one that I need to get to the table again. I don't know if this one will stick around either, but I remembered thinking that it was a pretty interesting auction type of game when we played it. Yokohama, one of my favorites. We have the TMG Deluxeified edition of it, and is kind of a route building, I guess you could describe it as. Route building, resource collecting, contract fulfillment type game. Great. Crusaders, They Will Be Done. This is a Mancala style game where you're going to be moving pieces around a little Mancala board, and that's where wherever you land, you're going to do that action. Or sorry, wherever you take wherever you take the pieces from, that's where you will be. That's the action you'll be taking, and you're playing as Knights Templars who are going to be going around a map of Europe trying to repel invaders and setting up banks and farms and castles and whatnot. Okay, down here, For Sale. This is a classic auction game. You've got two different styles. You got regular bidding and you've got closed bidding. Raptor, great game with some clever card play. Playing as either a mama raptor trying to save her babies or the scientists trying to capture the babies. Inish, this is my second favorite of the Madigo area Troops on a Map trilogy. This one's set in Ireland. You can see I've got the older edition of it. I do have the Seasons of Inish expansion in there, though, and I think that's the way to play that game now. Cyclades, this is one that we played. I liked it. I didn't love it. but I am trying to track down a copy of the Titans expansion because I have heard that changes up gameplay a little bit, and so I'm interested to try that again with the Titans expansion if I can ever track down a copy. Hallertau, this is a newer one from Uwe Rosenberg as far as big box games goes. This one has some neat worker placement elements to it and really great card combo system. Raccoon Tycoon, this is almost like a stock game of sorts with a market where you can buy and sell goods, and card play where you can gather up different types of goods and then sell them to the market or what have you. Basically, you can build buildings. There's a lot of stuff you can do in this game. It's very similar to, some other stock market games that I've played, but it has kind of a cutesy theme to it. And it's a little bit more approachable. Then we've got King of Tokyo, classic Yahtzee-style dice rolling game, King of the Hill style. Pret-a-Porter. This is one that I need to get to the table again also. I've only played it the one time. Really enjoyed my play of it. It's got a cool theme. It's got some really cool gameplay, but it's been a long time since we've played it. I need to play that one again. Detective. This one we actually have not played yet. And I'm not sure why, because my wife and I tend to really like kind of mystery solving type games, and so I'm not sure why we haven't gotten that one to the table yet. If I had to guess, it's because we have a lot of similar types of games like that, or have had similar types of games to that in the past, and either got burnt out on them or had too many of them and just got overwhelmed and just never ended up getting them to the table. Kemet, Blood and Sand. I have not played Blood and Sand yet. I've played Kemet like a bunch, but not so much the Blood and Sand version. But I like the production on this. Great miniatures. Quirkle. This is one that, again, I think this is. I hesitate to call it a guilty pleasure because it's a great game. I think it's one that, I guess, almost in the style of like dominoes, where you can just kind of sit around, we'll have drinks and just play Quirkle. And it's not one that we feel like we have to overthink. We don't feel like we have to work too hard at it. We can play it just Jen and I, but also, socialize with each other, have conversations about how everybody's day went, but still get a game in. I don't know if that makes a lot of sense, but Quirkle, I think, is still a very good game. Telestrations, super funny party game, at least the first maybe once or twice that you play it. I do think there are some diminishing returns on Telestrations after about the second play of Telestrations. It's not as funny as the first time, if that makes sense. Can't Stop, classic from Sid Saxon. Push your luck game where you are rolling dice trying to move up the tracks and trying to get to the top of those tracks so that you can, basically, you're trying to claim 3 of the tracks by getting to the top. Okay. All right, we've made it to the corner. Hanamikoji. This is a super clever game that I am super bad at, where you are offering, you're choosing actions to take, but every action that you take gives your opponent something also. And apparently that's just not how my brain works. Dice Forge is a really interesting game where you are going to be rolling dice, but you are also going to be changing the faces on those dice that you're rolling. Nagaraja is more or less a dice rolling game also, but the dice that you're rolling are actually little sticks with different numbers and symbols on them. And you are going to be trying to make your way through this temple of sorts, trying to collect things, playing cards, and kind of trying to screw over your opponent a little bit too. Typically, it's a little bit more cutthroat than most games that we tend to like, but it's a very good game. Wits and Wagers. This is a really fun betting game where you are not going to know the answer, so you're trying to bet on who you think has the closest answer. So if you get the answer correct, you get some points. If you bet on the correct answer, you also get points. And so it kind of takes some of that. You don't have to know everything to be competitive in Wits and Wagers. Mezzo, I have not had a chance to play yet. This was I think it was it was either a consignment room pickup or it was from the Board Game Geek flea market at Gen Con. Charterstone, Jamie Stegmaier's legacy game. Mage Knight, this is another one that I have not played yet, and I know that people love this game. This was a recent acquisition for me, actually. I have not owned that long, and with the amount of rules in that one, probably going to take me a little bit to get that one to the table, but I am super excited to play it. Lorenzo Il Magnifico. This one is kind of a cool dice worker placement game where you're going to be rolling, I guess you're not placing the dice, but you're rolling the dice to determine the strength of the workers that you're going to be placing out. So everybody's white worker is going to be worth a certain value, and everybody's red worker is going to be worth a certain value, or orange, sorry. And everybody's black worker is going to be worth a certain value. And it's an interesting way, kind of a cool take on worker placement. Role player. This is a very interesting. If you like Sagrada and the puzzly nature of that, this one kind of takes that and cranks it up to 11. Oh my goodness. Can't get up off the floor anymore. Kanban, Automotive Revolution, Vital Lacerda game. This is one of the earlier games that I had thought about buying until I heard how heavy it was. At this point, I am ready to play it, but have not had a chance to yet. Hunt for the Ring. Like I said, big fans of Lord of the Rings, anything Tolkien, and this is a very interesting looking hidden movement game where you can actually play it where however this game ends can affect how War of the Ring starts. War of the Ring, this is one of Jen's favorite games. We have War of the Ring and the Battle of Five Armies. Basically, this is Lord of the Rings in a box. This is the battles from the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit in board game form. Ghosts of Christmas. This is a trick-taking game from Allplay. This is one that we have not had a chance to play yet. But kind of has a a cool temporal aspect to it, I guess. Fuji Flush. This one hits the table pretty frequently, especially in social situations. Really quick and easy card game to play, where you're basically trying to shed your hand of cards, and the best way to do that is by kind of comboing with either having really high cards, or if you can't do that, comboing them with other players around the table. Lotus, super beautiful game. Very pretty, where you are building out flower petals and trying to claim control of them, but definitely much more cutthroat than it looks. Lords of Hellas, the Awakened Realms game with the gigantic statue miniatures. Really fun dudes on the map style game. Azul, great tile laying, pattern making game. And then Century Golem Edition and Century Golem Edition Eastern Mountains. And I've played both Golem Edition and Spice Road for Century. I have not played my copy of Eastern Mountains, but I have played I'm drawing a blank, whatever the second one in the series of the Spice Road version of that is. Almost has a bit of an Istanbul-ish feel to it. Actually, quite a few of these ones. Oh, well, that's not true. Hold on. Up here we've got Shh from the Paco Games series. This is a cooperative game where you are playing down cards with letters on them, and you're trying to cooperatively spell out a word, but you don't know what cards everybody has, and so it's difficult but really clever kind of cooperative word game. Core Worlds, have not played it yet, but I've got Core Worlds and the expansion in here. Umbravia, again, have not played that one yet. I don't know if this one's going to stay on the shelf or not. That was a Gen Con pickup that we bought alongside of Dinosaur World. Jen loves gardening themes, but it's one that has not gotten to the table yet. I don't know if it will. We'll see if we decide to hang on to it to try it out, or if we just end up getting rid of that one. This is another one that I have not played yet. This was a fairly recent purchase, I guess, or within the last. Well, it was actually at the last Gen Con, so I guess it's been a while. Demon Worker, I've heard, is a very good worker placement style game. Terraforming Mars Ares Expedition. This is the reason I don't own regular Terraforming Mars anymore. I kind of like this one better. Tatari, super cool looking, very creepy looking Reiner Knizia game. This one was actually a game that I won in a drawing over on Evan Diesel's YouTube channel. Photograph, one of the first games from Sashi and Sashi that I had actually played. Since then I've tried several others from Sashi and Sashi, and I've liked all of the ones that I've played so far. Kind of wishing I hadn't slept on them for so long. Alright, what are you doing? Up here we've got Thunder Road Vendetta. Not the Maximum Chrome. We have the retail version, but still super fun racing game. Very Mad Max. Teotihuacan, along with multiple expansions in here. I think this might be my favorite of the T games. Santa Maria, again, another one of the games that I have played, but just not my copy. As you can see, mine is still in shrink, but this one's got a cool dice activation element to it. QE, this is another one that picked up at, I believe that one was a Gen Con flea market pickup. Auctioning game that I have not played I have not played that one yet either. Neanderthal. That was a... where are you? Ooh, this is getting heavy to raise up that far. This was a gift from a friend. I've read the rules for it multiple times. I feel like I understand the rules until I sit down to play the game, and then my mind melts. So I got to keep trying that one. Paris, we played that one at Gen Con, I think 2 years ago now. Really fun 2-player game. All right, moving over here. I might have to go get some water soon. Nidavellir. This is a really neat game with a cool auctioning mechanism where you are going to bid on adventurer cards that are out at the 3 different taverns. You can always bid 0 and take the last pick, but if you do that, you also get to add the 2 coins that were kept in your supply. You add those together and take that amount from the bank. And so it improves your chances of winning a bid later on. It's a really cool concept, and I think we've got both of the expansions for that one. Catapult Feud, very similar to Crossbows and Catapults. Fun one to play with our kids. Fast Sloths, just recently got that one to the table. One of the few pick up and deliver style games that I've really enjoyed. Kraftwagen, this one it has a very similar kind of time track mechanism to, say, Glenmore, where you can move as far as you want around a little rondel, but whoever's in the back always gets to take their turn first. Pandemic, Reign of Cthulhu. Slap a Cthulhu theme onto Pandemic, and I like it. La Granja is one of my favorite games of all time, and I just recently picked up La Granja No Siesta. Again, have not had a chance to play that yet, but I am pretty confident that I'm going to like No Siesta. I also have the Archer Love Letter, because Archer's hilarious. Let's see, down here. This is the box where I keep all of the pieces and boards and things for all of those Funkos that we looked up top here. So this is where I keep all the boards and things for that. Godzilla, Tokyo Clash? I should know that, it's on my shelf. Yeah, Tokyo Clash. Oh, this is hard to do one-handed. Oh no, I'm gonna lose No Siesta. Oh, don't worry everybody. I got this. Okay. Okay. Alright. Have not played that yet, but it's Godzilla, so I own it. Enough said. Horrified. Great cooperative game. This one is one... I keep lowering my camera. I'm sorry, guys. I'm looking at the games and not looking at the camera at what I'm actually doing. Horrified. This is a really fun cooperative game where you are running around a town trying to rid it of the Universal Classic monsters. I love Universal Classic monsters. I know they have a Greek edition out now. I know they have the American Monsters version out now, but I am a big fan of the classic Universal monsters. Red Rising, I have not read the books. I started to read the books, and they were pretty brutal, very interesting. I thought they were. I think I made it halfway through the first one though. The game though is pretty fun. It's take fantasy realms and add a few more elements to it, and you've got Red Rising. I don't know. I don't know that I would say it's underrated, but I think it's better than it's getting credit for. Mysterium Parks. I picked this one up and got rid of our full copy of Mysterium. If I'm gonna play Mysterium is a really good game, but always seemed to take a little bit longer than I wanted a game like that to last. So Mysterium Park is, I think, kind of right in the sweet spot for that style of game for me. Parade. This is one that I again have played, have not played my copy. I played a buddy's copy a couple of times. We borrowed it from him, played it a few times, picked up a copy, and there it sits. Let me know if you can relate. Jaipur. This is probably our most played two-player game. Set collection with a really cool kind of hand management aspect to it with those camels. Roma and Arena Roma 2 to Stefan Feld, kind of head-to-head card games where you are trying to basically knock down your opponent in any way, shape, or form. I've played one, I've played both together. It's been a long time though, so might have to get those ones back to the table. Alhambra. This is a classic now at this point. Laying tiles, collecting money, and using specific types of money to pay for specific tiles. Basically trying to collect sets of tiles in your Alhambra to score the most points. Merlin, another Stefan Feld with a roll and write aspect to it, but you can, so one of your characters will always be moving clockwise around the table, but you can control Merlin, who can go clockwise or counterclockwise, and you are doing a lot of the typical Feld mini games. And again, this is one that I think maybe doesn't get as much credit as it should. I think Merlin is a really good Feld game. Queen's Architect. This one is. Let me see if I can pull this one out of here too. This is the problem with putting these little games up top here. They always want to fall out. Okay. So, Queen's Architect, you are going to be traveling around a map and trying to complete jobs. And the way you're going to be completing these jobs is by collecting, basically hiring workers, but the strength at which they are going to do their job is going to change from round to round. Basically, when they do a job, you're going to rotate that tile. And so maybe at one point, you see this guy, he's going to do work at a strength of 3, which is pretty good, but then you rotate it, then he's going to be doing it at a strength of 1. And so it's going to go down a bit. And it's a really cool concept. You could probably pick that one up pretty cheap. I see that one on sale a lot, and I think it's worth it for the gameplay that you get out of that one. Santorini, super fun abstract game with special powers. Darwin's Journey, this was my game of the year for 2024. Walking in the footsteps of Charles Darwin and the HMS Beagle, traveling around the Galapagos Islands and cataloging different species. Trajan, another Stefan Feld. Personally, I like this old cover version of it better. I like the dark blue and black look on that. Ulm, I think this is another underrated game. It has a kind of a cool slide puzzle. Kind of a cool slide puzzle mechanism where players are going to slide their tiles into this little slide puzzle up here in the corner of the board. And then the tiles that are left are going to determine the actions that they can take. Ugh. Okay. Blood Rage, Eric Lang, fantastic game. Cool Vikings, cool miniatures. Cthulhu Death May Die, Eric Lang, cool miniatures, also Rob Davio, so fantastic. Istanbul, one of the first games that I ever picked up from a local game store. Also very responsible for my love of board gaming. And we also have the dice game version, which is also good. Not as good as the base game in my opinion, but still good enough to stay on the shelf. Pagoda, this is a 2-player game. I have played it. I don't remember much about it. I remember thinking it was pretty good, but maybe that tells me that one may not be long for my shelf either. Honeybuzz, super cute worker placement game with some fantastic components, great art, just stellar production on this. Elf Creek generally tends to knock it out of the park with their productions. Oh, that looks like that's not going back in there now. Red Cathedral, love this game. This is a fantastic game from DeVere. I would say this is the game that kind of put DeVere on the map for me in terms of my interest in their games. Like after playing Red Cathedral, I'm kind of keeping an eye on DeVere from here on out. Also, great solo mode. All right, scooting over here. Here we've got Super Mega Lucky Box. This is another Phil Walker Harding game, right? Yeah, another Phil Walker Harding game. Very similar to Silver and Gold in a lot of respects, but a little bit more combo-tastic, I would say. We've got the Red Cathedral expansion over here. Maybe we should put that over here by Red Cathedral. And we'll put you over there. Okay. So Clover, another great party game. Basically, you're going to be putting cards out at random, trying to find a word that combines the two words on that edge, and then you're going to take all of those cards off, shuffle them up, and then hand them over to the other players who have to try to figure out, based on your one-word clue, what cards went in what spot and in what orientation. Dragonwood, this is another one that may not be on my shelf for too long, but I guess I've kind of held on to this one a lot for sentimental reasons, because this is one that we played. This was one that was a pretty regular game for me with the kids. Forbidden Desert. Whoop. Forbidden Desert. This is a great cooperative game from Matt Leacock, same designer as Pandemic. Kind of a similar system, but also different in many ways. Sushi Roll, I got that one because we like Sushi Go so much. This one kind of takes that concept but adds dice to it. Tiny Towns, a little bit bingo with some Tetris-y cube placement elements. Potion Explosion. I'm not as hot on Potion Explosion as a lot of folks are. I think it's a good game, but I guess I have never been as in love with it as a lot of folks are. I think the way that the marble mechanism in it works is pretty fun, but outside of that, it doesn't do enough to kind of hold my interest personally. Distilled, another one of my favorite games from 2023. We also got the Africa and Middle East expansion in here and the Cask Strength expansion. You can find the reviews for those on this channel, but this is a great game with some pusher luck, very kind of thematically grounded mechanisms. Le Havre from Uwe Rosenberg, one of his more well-received games. I thought it was good. Definitely doesn't make my top Uwe games, but pretty good. Brian Boru, this is like a troops on a map kind of area control-y game, but with a trick-taking kind of driving mechanism in it. Really clever. This was one that I heard a lot about when it first came out, and then it seems like nobody talked about it after that. Definitely try out Brian Boru if you get a chance. Expeditions, follow-up to Scythe. I wouldn't say that I like Expeditions more than Scythe, but I think Expeditions I think they knocked it out of the park in terms of trying to follow up a smash hit like Scythe. I think Expeditions did a fantastic job. Endless Winter, Paleo Americans. This was my game of the year for 2022. Deck building, worker placement, lots of different ways, lots of different paths you can take in that one. And then Arc Nova and the Marine Worlds expansion. Building a zoo, very engine buildery in terms of what you're doing with the cards. Also really cool card action selection mechanism where you will take the action based on its power and then move it to the end of the line, basically resetting its power to 0, and you have to build it back up again. Isle of Cats. Again, another one of the games that I have played multiple times, but my copy still sits in shrink. Point City, I think this was a great follow-up to Point Salad, where it kind of takes the set collection element of Point Salad and turns it into an engine building kind of resource management game, but in a very fun, fast package. Castles of Burgundy, one of my favorite games of all time. Super stoked when they announced the special edition. This is gorgeous. I'm not saying everybody should spend the money for this version of it, but I'm not disappointed with the Awakened Realms special edition of Castles of Burgundy. Power Grid, classic. Route building, auctioning, a lot of different stuff going on in that one. Took us a long time to get that one to the table, but I really like it. Shobu, this is a really cool abstract strategy game where basically when you move a piece on your side, it's going to move the corresponding piece on the opposite side as well, and you're trying to knock your opponent's pieces off of the board. That Time You Killed Me. This is another abstract strategy game. Don't know too much about it yet. I know there's some sort of past, present, and future thing going on here, but I, as you can see, still in Shrink, have not gotten that one to the table yet. Skull King, another really cool trick-taking game. Again, my copy's in Shrink, but I have played this multiple times, just not my copy. But very cool trick-taking with special powers. And then we've got Space Gate Odyssey. This is kind of a cool game where you are putting workers out, but you can change the strength of the workers. And the more workers you have on a space, the more powerful that action becomes. And basically you're trying to fill up modules on your space station so that you can colonize planets. Different planets are going to have different scoring conditions. A lot of neat things going on in that one. Both of these have not made it to the table yet. Mythotopia. Martin Wallace is one of my... he designed some games that I just love. And so I've got a lot of his games that I just have not gotten to the table yet. Mythotopia... I'm excited to play it. I don't know that anybody else in my game group is excited to play it. Same thing with A Study in Emerald. I've got the second edition Study in Emerald. I know there's a kind of a re-skinned sort of version of it coming out soon, which I'm excited to take a look at, but I would really like to play my copy of it first. Up here we've got Long Shot the Dice game. I have played Long Shot. I don't own it. It's kind of hard to find now, but Long Shot the Dice game, cool roll and write version of it. Say Anything. This is what I will play instead of Apples to Apples or Cards Against Humanity now. Much more clever in my opinion, because you are actually coming up with the answers, not making the cards be funny for you. Time's Up. One of the few of this type of kind of charade style, acting style games that I actually don't mind playing. People like me with that kind of social anxiety that don't want to get up in front of a crowd of people and kind of make a fool out of yourself. This is one that I actually don't mind that too much. It's worth the price of admission. Well, I don't know what that was that just fell. Let's see, A Gift of Tulips. This is one that we got from Gen Con last year. Have not had a chance to open that one up yet. That one will have to make it to the table here soon. Paper Tales. Really great card drafting game with kind of a cool aging mechanism on some of the cards. Village. Speaking of aging, your workers in Village will age and die off, and depending on when they die or how they die, you can put them in... you can either put them in the Chronicles or the Graveyard. I got a promo for it too. That's what was up there. Alright guys, that was battery number 2, and so this is battery number 3 that we're starting here, and I'm gonna have to hurry up because this is my last fully charged battery. So all the way up there, Twilight Imperium. Huge epic game, takes most of the day to play. Bonfire, great Stefan Feld game with a cool action selection mechanism. Strasbourg, still in Shrink. This is a pretty hard to find Stefan Feld game at this point. This one's a pretty fun auction game. Carpe Diem, Stefan Feld tiling. You're going to be moving around kind of a circular action selection area with different tiles on it. Wherever you land, that's where you pull the tiles from. Also has a cool scoring grid mechanism. Puerto Rico, this is the newer Puerto Rico 1897. I have not played this version of Puerto Rico yet. Played the other version a few times now. Love this game. Felicity, Cat in the Sack. A little similar to For Sale in some ways, where you are auctioning off cats, I guess, for some reason. Radlands, really fun two-player game where you are basically trying to knock out your opponent's base. Or bases, I guess you have 3 of them. We still have our anniversary edition of Castles of Burgundy. This probably doesn't need to stay on the shelf now that we've got the special edition. Castles of Tuscany. I thought this was a pretty cool follow-up to Castles of Burgundy. It's different but similar. It shares some things. Scoring is a little weird in that one, but overall, I think it was a good game. Notre Dame, another one of my favorite Felds. This was card drafting before card drafting was cool. Bora Bora. This is a much heavier Feld game. Really pretty, but definitely meaner than it looks. The Shipwreck Arcana. Great deduction game. Cooperative. You're playing out clues, trying to get your opponent getting your teammates to guess what number tile you have in front of you. And the way you're going to be doing that is by placing out another number tile that you've pulled out of a bag. So you're going to pull a number out, place it somewhere, and somehow that's going to tell them some kind of information about what you've got in front of you. Really clever, really fun. Diamonds, another great trick-taking game. This one, when you play off suit, that's okay. It might get you something useful. Project Elite, one of the few real-time games that I really enjoy. Waves and waves of aliens are going to be coming at you. You're going to try and stop them before they make it into your base. This one is, you're going to have piles and piles of plastic laying around when you're done with that one. Like I said before, we like our Oink games, startups. This is a really cool kind of stock market-y type of game. And then, of course, we have Scout, another one that I've played multiple times but have not opened my copy. Space Hulk Death Angel. This is fun. It's also very hard. This is difficult. And usually not a big fan of Roll to Resolve, but it was a fun game. But man, was it hard. Skull. This is one of my favorite bluffing games. Great party game. This is one that we'll break out as we're sitting around the table having a few beers. Here I've got my West Kingdom trilogy. I've got my Architects, Paladins, and Viscounts. All 3 of these are fantastic. Ugh. Under Falling Skies, have not played that one yet. Just picked that one up in a swap meet not too long ago. Cascadia, beautiful Beth Sobel artwork, super approachable. This is probably one that I would not hesitate to pull out with new players. Rise, this is tracks on tracks on tracks, all tracks all the time. But I think this one is getting overlooked. I think this one is more fun than people realize. High Society, classic Reiner Knizia. Bidding game, but if you spend more than anybody else, you cannot win. Beyond the Sun, I love tech trees in games. This is one that is pretty much all tech tree. Civilization: A New Dawn. This is the one that, so Ark Nova's card card play, card action selection mechanism. This is the first game that I played that used something similar to that, but it does it in kind of a civilization style game. I was not in love with the game itself, but that action selection mechanism was so interesting, so cool to me that I held on to the game. Concordia, this is the game I always think of when I talk about a game being elegant. I know a lot of people don't like the way it looks, but outside of that, such a great game. Fearsome Floors, this one, man, I love this cover. I love that style. This is a very abstract game where you're going to be running around the floor of a castle trying to escape a monster, and the monster is going to be it's going to try and catch you and eat you using some very simple kind of pre-planned movements, and you can use those movements to your advantage while simultaneously kind of messing over your opponents. Race for the Galaxy, great card game. This is one that I would like to pick up some of the expansions for it at some point. I don't have any of the expansions for it, but I really like this game. Link and Devon from the GIF series. Jen really likes abstract strategy games, and these two I think are really, really good. Devon kind of has a bit of a area cutting off type of mechanism to it, and then Link, you're going to be claiming colors that will be yours that you will score as the game plays, if I remember correctly. It's been a while since we've played either one of them, but they definitely have me interested in trying the other games in the GIF series. At the very least, I would like to play Yinch, because I've heard that one, a lot of people have said that one's their favorite of the GIF series. So Yinch is one that I would like to pick up and try. New York Slice, I love the production of this one. It looks like a pizza box. Rules look like a menu. It has pizza slices. Basically, it's a I cut, you choose, where you're trying to split up the pizza and collect sets and score points. Suburbia, great tiling game with all kinds of combos that you're going to be making as the game goes on based on what you put next to, like what kind of buildings you put next to each other. Warhammer Underworld's Shadespire. I have not played this yet on the table. Now, I have played the app version of it, and I really enjoyed that, but I have not gotten this to the table yet. Brewcrafters, obviously Beer City Board Games likes Brewcrafters. This is it's imagine Agricola but as a craft brewery. Battle Ball, I have not played this yet. I'm not 100% sure why I picked this one up. I think I just liked the idea of like a goofy, fun football type of game. I don't know that I'll like it, but I figured I'd give it a try. Karuba, great little bingo style tile laying game. Rise of Augustus, also very bingo style, but more fulfilling recipes on cards to try and score points. Spectaculum, Reiner Knizia game about traveling circus, and you are basically owning shares in a particular circus and trying to earn the most points that way. We've got the Bloody Inn and the Carnies expansion. Now, Bloody Inn, I've played that a bunch. I love it multiplayer. I love it solo. I have not opened the Carney's expansion yet. I was having a hard time finding this for the longest time. I believe I just got this on the last Game Nerds Day deal. Res Arcana. This is a really interesting game where you're playing as dueling alchemists, and you are trying to race to a certain number of points, but you're going to be doing that with a very limited hand of cards, and basically you have to just do your best with what cards you have. Discworld Ankh-Morpork. This is a pretty hard to find game at this point. They did reprint it as Nanny Narking. Very cool hidden role game where, depending on the card that you get, the card that you're dealt at the beginning of the game, that's going to determine what your win condition is. Welcome to Walnut Grove. A little bit of Rondel, a little bit of tile placement, and resource generation. Colonists, this is a very big and very long game from what I understand. Have not gotten it to the table yet. This was I think it was a Gen Con flea market pickup. Nemo's War, also have not gotten that one to the table yet. This one was also a pickup I think I got that at a swap meet, if I remember right. But I love most of Ian O'Toole's artwork, but I think that might be one of my favorite covers that he's ever done. Keyforge, card game from Richard Garfield, designer of Magic. This is the one where every deck is supposed to be different. Food chain magnate, big, heavy, splatter game. Kingsburg, this was one of the earliest dice placement games that I ever played. Still one of my favorites, and we do have the To Forge a Realm expansion in here as well. The Hunger, this is another Richard Garfield game. Kind of similar to Clank in a lot of ways, where you are building up a deck and using that deck to move your vampire out from the castle, but then you also have to make it back to the castle before sunrise. Lost Ruins of Arnak. This is another one of those deck building worker placement games that kind of came out alongside of Dune Imperium and Endless Winter. Totally spaced on the name of that one. Got both Brass Birmingham here and Brass Lancashire. And obviously love these both. Brass Birmingham is my #1 game as of 2024. Citadels, I would say this is the first kind of real hobby game that I ever played. I don't play it too much anymore, but it stays on my shelf just because it was the first. Ra, this one was one that we just learned, I believe it was our first Origins that we went to. Somebody taught us this game, so we were pretty late to the party on Ra. But shortly after that, 25th Century came out with this nice new edition, so we picked that up about as soon as it was available. Then I've got my North Sea games, Raiders of the North Sea and Explorers of the North Sea. I like both of these. I think Raiders is definitely the better game. I like Explorers, but kind of similar to what I was saying with Ex Libris a while ago, I think Explorers is a very fun solo game. Burgle Brothers, cooperative heist game. I love the theme on that. I kind of wish more games had a theme like that on it. It's not one that we see too often. Castles of Burgundy, the dice game. Basically roll and write style. Castles of Burgundy has a lot of the same feeling as the original. San Juan, Puerto Rico, the card game, more or less. This one definitely hits the table much more frequently than Race for the Galaxy, but it kind of has a similar style play to it. La Isla, one of Stefan Feld's lighter games. Don't play it too often, but it does have multi-use cards in it, which is one of my favorite mechanisms, so that's part of the reason why this one stays on my shelf. Las Vegas, this is a great dice rolling game, great for social situations, great for teaching new gamers. Glen Moore, kind of a fun story about this one. So I found out about Glen Moore when it was already way out of print and before they had even announced the Chronicles version. So my wife tracked down this German copy and had it shipped to us. So that one's not going anywhere. Alia Iacta Est. This is a fun dice game, but it's been a very long time since I've played it. Not sure if that one would stay on the shelf or not. We're gonna have to see on that one. Palazzo, another Reiner Knizia game. This is almost kind of similar in gameplay to Alhambra, but with some very Reiner Knizia twists to it. Let's see, up here we've got Libertalia, Winds of Galecrest. I've played the base, the first edition Libertalia multiple times. Winds of Galecrest I've only played once or twice, but I do like the way that you can vary how the treasures and things like that work in the game in Winds of Galecrest. Dungeon Pets, one of my favorite games. Really cute artwork. Also, I love the way that the monsters work and how they actually grow as the game goes. Zolkin has some really cool interlocking gears where time becomes one of the resources that you have to try to manage. I'm not going to say Brewster's Millions. Last Will is a game from Vladimir Suchy, who is kind of quickly becoming one of my favorite game designers. This one is all about trying to blow through your big old stack of cash that you get. Odin's Ravens. This is a really fun two-player game where you're trying to race your ravens around a set of cards, but then depending on the cards that you play also, you have ways of kind of manipulating how those are going to move around the board. Coup, another really fun hidden role game where you can kind of call other players' bluffs on those and pandemonium ensues. Ticket to Ride London. I like these small box Ticket to Rides because I think if I'm going to play Ticket to Ride, I like the length of these ones. This is just about right for the length of game for a Ticket to Ride for me. Codenames Duet, but this also has base code names in it as well. We've got Patchwork. This was the first polyomino style game that I ever played from Uwe Rosenberg. Pillars of the Earth Builder's Duel. This is a Feld small box game from Mayfair. Boy, it's been a long time since I played that one. I really don't remember too much about that. I got to get that to the table again. Uchronia from Carl Chudik. I've heard comparisons to Innovations and Glory to Rome and things like that. I have not played Glory to Rome, so I can't say for sure, but this is a game that's very much about finding the right combination of cards to find kind of that overpowered combo. Diamant, press your luck, go into the cavern, come out with the most treasure, try not to die. Hyperborea. This is another game that I don't hear a whole lot about, but it's a troops on a map style game that incorporates bag building. Smartphone Inc. and the expansion. Great economic game. And I love the way the action selection works on those. Furnace. This is a really fun engine builder. It's pretty much, you have a really clever auction and then a ton of engine building. Love the way that this one works. And we do have the expansion for that in here as well. We have not played with the expansion yet, though, I don't believe. Quadropolis, this is one that I've been saying I want to get to the table again. This one has a really cool tile selection mechanism where you put a little arrow next to the row or column that you want to take a tile from, and then the number on that tile or on that arrow tells you which one you're able to take and where it's going to go in your city. So you're trying to put certain tiles next to each other to score more points. Yamatai is similar in a lot of ways to Five Tribes. Looks gorgeous on the table. Really cool, big, colorful pieces. Very colorful tiles and ships and artwork on the cards. Castel, interesting theme for sure. Ludicrously sized bag and a lot of fun, much more thinky than I thought it was going to be. Terra Mystica, classic dry Euro that I love. La Granja Deluxe Master Set. This is beautiful. I love this new edition of La Granja. I think Board and Dice did a fantastic job with this. It's creeping up on Brass Birmingham. I don't know. This at some point La Granja may overtake Brass Birmingham as my favorite game. We'll see. No thanks. This is, I don't know if you can see how beat up this box is, but I have played the mess out of this. This is one that hits the table a lot. Basically, you are bidding to not take a card. Ethnos. Very streamlined area control. Dwellings of Eldervale. Now, I've only played this once. I played it 5-player as a learning game at Grand Con. Not the ideal situation to learn this game in. It took a very long time to play. But I think if I get a chance to play it again with less players and with us knowing, at least having some background of the rules, I'm really interested to play this one again soon. Revive. This is a great game from Aporta Games. Fairly simple action selection, but with those actions that you can choose, you have a lot of different options, a lot of different paths you can take, and it from those simple actions, you end up with a pretty crunchy game. Speaking of crunchy games, here's some of my Lacerdas. Vinhos, which I think is my favorite Lacerda as of right now. All about making wine in Portugal. The Gallerist. I think this is our most played Lacerda game. About running an art gallery. It's amazing to me how heavy this game is, considering there are really only like four worker placement spots, but out of those 4 worker placement spots, you've got so many things that you can think of, so many things to consider. It's mind-blowing how heavy that game is with just that few spaces. And then CO2, this one I got to play again because I found out after we played it with some incorrect rules. So I need to try that one again. Echidna Shuffle. This is an adorable kids game where you are basically it's a pick up and deliver game with super cute little echidnas where you are trying to deliver little insects to their stumps, and it's cute, fun to play with the kids. I have not played Cthulhu Wars with the kids, but I also have not played Cthulhu Wars at all yet. I took a look at the rule book for that. I just picked this up at Gen Con last year. Took a look at the rule book. Rule book was like that thick. I went, oh, what did I get myself into? I will get to it, but it might be a minute. The Arrival. This oh boy. Again, Martin Wallace. So, I like Martin Wallace games. I think this is an older edition of it. I think they did put out a newer version of this game with a different cover, if I remember right. Or maybe this is the newer edition. I can't remember now. Boy, I really don't remember too much of this one. It might be time to get this one back to the table. Either get it to the table or get it off the shelf, I guess. All right. And moving over here, we've got Hero Realms and the Ruins of Thandar expansion, so we can make it cooperative. Really fun, great deck building games. Blitzkrieg, very short, almost like it's got a lot of tug of war, kind of in a similar vein to Twilight Struggle, but in a much smaller package. Jamaica, great racing game where you are pirates racing around the island, and then we also have the Crew expansion, which I liked, adds some crew members with special powers. Our legendary of choice, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Mainly because Jen's a huge fan of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. King's Dilemma. This one was gifted to me. I gotta find a group to play that with at some point. Quacks of Quedlinburg. Very fun pusher luck game where you are pulling chits out of a bag, but you gotta be careful not to pull too many of a certain type, or you're gonna your pot's gonna blow up. Francis Drake. This is another game with the kind of the time track mechanism similar to Glenmore and such, where you can move forward to take an action, but you can't move backwards. We've also got the expansion for it as well. Older game, but I think it still holds up. Spirit Island. A lot of folks know Spirit Island. It's Settlers of Catan, but in reverse. We just picked up, so I had the big box version of El Grande, played that, loved it. When they announced the new edition, I picked this one up just because I think I like the way this one looks a little bit more. Plus, it fits on my shelf, which is an added bonus. Cryptid is a really cool deduction game where everybody has one part of the clue and you're trying to determine what everybody else's clue is so that you can find out where on the map the cryptid is. Meadow uses a very similar mechanism to Quadropolis, where you are going to be grabbing cards out of a grid and placing them into your meadow and trying to score points. Oh, almost forgot Mitworks. Very tiny worker placement game. Emerge. This was a Gen Con pickup. Really cool artwork. Played it once. Need to get it back to the table. Not sure if it'll stick around, but I did enjoy my play of it. I just don't know if it... I'm getting to the point now where I have to be very... a little bit more, I guess, critical of games that are going to be staying on my shelf. Aethermon Collect. This was a copy that was sent to me to review. Review is up on the channel, but this is kind of a cool spatial drafting game. You can play this either cooperatively or competitively. And honestly, I think both work pretty well. Sheriff of Nottingham. You get to lie to your friends, which is fun. Five Tribes, great Mancala style game from Bruno Cathala. Up here we've got Viticulture and Viticulture World. I have played Viticulture World, just, again, not my copy. Some more Lacerdas. We've got Lisboa and On Mars. We have not played either one of these yet. I've heard good things about both of them, just have not gotten them to the table yet. Parks. Lightweight-ish time track style game with some really great art, very reminiscent of the old Parks posters. Up here, there is a new edition of this one out, but I don't remember what that one's called, but this one is the Institute for Magical Arts. Really fun Steve Finn game, head-to-head, two-player only game. Basically, you're trying to compete to be the head of a wizarding school. Glenmore 2 Chronicles. I talked about Glenmore over here. Chronicles version. This one just adds a ton of variety with all of the different chronicles that are involved. Kashgar, Merchants of the Silk Road. This one you've got 3 stacks of cards in front of you. You're going to choose one of those stacks, activate the card in the front of it, and then move it to the back. And you're going to be adding cards to those stacks, using those to gather up different resources and try to buy things that will get you points. Atlantis Rising, another one of the most beautiful covers I have seen on board games. This is a cooperative worker placement game with a little bit of push your luck too, because the island is sinking, but the island is also where those worker placement spots are. But those worker placement spots might be gone between the time that you place your worker and the time you get to activate your worker. Okay, we're getting there. Over here, this is a stack of games that I think is going to end up going up on the Origins Flea Market medium fun party game, where you are trying to basically shout out the same answer as your partner. There's going to be 2 words out on the table. You're trying to think of a word that combines both of those words, and then both shout out the same word at the same time. Cryptid Urban Legends. Honestly, I never played this. I read the rules for it. Kind of decided, you know what, this does not sound like it's for me. And so that one's going up for sale. Vinyl Jukebox. This one is a 2-player version of Vinyl that I did a review for on the channel. Talent Strike Studios has some fantastic games. This is a really cool game where you are pulling chits out of a bag. I tend to like that as a mechanism. But with having base vinyl, I don't know that I'm not super keen on keeping both of them. So I think this is the edition that is gonna leave the collection. London. This one, game by Martin Wallace. Like I said, one of my favorite designers, but London was good. I mean, it's a good game, but just didn't quite hit for me, I guess. Among the Stars, I've had this forever, still haven't played it. So that one's leaving the collection. Cape May. I was really excited about this one when I got it, and then it sat on our shelf for so long that I kind of just forgot about it, I suppose. And so I figured we'll get that one to a home where it's going to get played. Fate of the Elder Gods, actually, this one shouldn't be here because Jen really likes that game. So that one might have to come back onto our shelf. But that one's a great game where you were playing as the cultist trying to summon your particular elder god. Sail. This is a cooperative card-playing game. I have not played it yet, but I have some friends that have played it, said it's very good, and I trust their opinion, so that one's staying. Mango Cabana. This was a review copy. Very, very simple set collection. Pollen. This is another clever and gorgeous game from Allplay. Leaders of the New Dawn expansion for Beyond the Sun, which we talked about earlier. Fairy Tale Inn. This is actually not mine. That's a friend let us borrow that to play with the kids. Our kids it can be kind of hard to talk them into playing games with us sometimes, and especially with bigger games. A lot of times, if they're going to play a game with us, they like the shorter, quicker games. So, haven't played that one yet. Probably ought to get that one back. Flamecraft, super cute. This one, I love the dragon design on this. I like these little cute dragons are fantastic. The game itself, I like the game. I think the gameplay is good. I don't know that it has enough teeth to stay for me. I thought it was a well-designed game. I just don't know that it's a game that I would continue to play. Down here we've got Boop, the Halloween version of Boop. This is a really cute, really clever abstract strategy game where you are cats trying to climb on the bed. The White Castle, another Devere game. I believe it's the same team that did the Red Cathedral, but in this one you are drafting dice and using those dice to do actions and get points. Detective Rummy. This one I actually don't know anything about this one. I think we won this one in like a raffle or something, so I really don't know too much about that. Rule the Waves, another game from Catastrophe, which is local here. Let's go down. Dinosaur Island. We talked about Dinosaur World before. Dinosaur Island, the first one in that kind of world series, whatever we're calling it. A lot of different mechanisms in that one, but I really like how that one plays. I have played it with the Totally Liquid expansion as well. I don't own it. I got a friend who does, but I do like that expansion quite a bit as well. Forgotten Waters. This one is a Crossroads style game, but it uses an app, unlike Dead of Winter, which used cards. This one uses an app with some really great voice acting and some really cool kind of world building going on there. Oh, Sale. We've already talked about you. Mountain Goats. This one is a very fun kind of King of the Hill style game where you are rolling dice, using those dice to move up your goats on different mountains. You get to the top of the mountain, you score points. The longer you stay on the mountain, the more points you get. Splendor Duel, only version of Splendor that we own. This one has a really interesting kind of grid drafting thing going on there. Forest Shuffle. This is a really good. This was also one of my top games of 2023. Picked this up at Gen Con. Basically, you're playing out. You're going to play out trees, and then on those trees you can play different types of insects, animals, plants, and mushrooms and things like that. Basically, building up a forest in front of you, which, depending on the other cards that you have, are going to score a various amount of points. Public Market, another game from Talon Strike Studios. This one has a lot of really clever things going on. This was another one that heard a lot about when it first came out and then kind of just disappeared. But we really like Public Market. Arkham Horror, 2nd edition. I have played 3rd edition. I like 2nd edition better, but this is definitely one that doesn't hit the table too often, but this was one of the first kind of big games that we really got into, and so it's sticking around. Mobile Markets, this was a fairly recent pickup from our FLGS. Have not had a chance to play it yet, but because we like Smartphone Inc. so much, we thought we'd give Mobile Markets a try. Basically kind of a card game version of Smartphone. Oak. This was a recent FLGS purchase also. I believe worker placement. But it also has different items that you can equip your people with that will enhance different abilities from what I understand, having not had a chance to play it yet. Green Team Wins. This is one of my favorite party games of the last... When did this one come out? 2023. So this was probably my favorite party game of last year. Basically, you're going to be answering a question, but you're trying to answer the question the way that you think everybody else is going to answer the question. And if you do, you are on the green team, and the green team wins. So you get more points for being on the green team. If you ever pick one that is not, then you are on the orange team, you don't get points. Almost sounds like it shouldn't work. I didn't understand it the first time I heard it explained to me, but once I played it, loved it. Wonderland's War, great art, great components, great production. I really like the chip pulling as part of combat in this one. I like anything where it's like bag building in general, but I like the way it's used here for combat. It also has the time track thing where you are making your way around the tea table, trying to gather cards that will let you put more units into an area, or take different actions that are going to help you out in the second phase of the game. But great production. This is one that we played at Gen Con and loved it. So we ended up backing the base game and the expansion, the Shards of Madness expansion. So when that arrived, we were very excited about that. We also backed both of these as part of their Kickstarters as well. Creature Comforts, we picked that up when we backed Maple Valley. Maple Valley is more hand management. Creature Comforts is dice placement, but both kind of set in the same very cute woodland creature-y setting. Over here we've got some games. These ones I think are probably also probably heading towards the flea market. War of the Worlds, the new wave. I really don't know too much about that one. I think it's a deck builder. I'm not really super sure about that one. Ruination. This is a really good troops on a map style game. Same thing with Assault of the Giants. This is the premium edition with the pre-painted miniatures and everything. Both of these are really good games, but I have several other games that kind of do what these games do, and so I kind of made a choice there that, okay, well, if I gotta choose, these ones are the ones that I would get rid of. City Builder, Ancient World. I actually know nothing about this game. I won this game in a giveaway, and I'm not familiar with it, so I don't know. I don't know if that one's gonna stay or if I need to do a little bit more research. For Science, this is a really fun cooperative dexterity game. Basically, you're stacking up blocks and trying to stack them up in a certain pattern with very specific rules in order to create a cure for these different diseases. And then Blackout Hong Kong, Alexander Pfister. I love a lot of his games, but maybe this. You know what? You're coming back over here, I think, because I don't know that I'm ready to get rid of you yet. Oh, I'm so torn. I recently played Sky Mines. I don't own it, but a friend does, and it kind of had me wanting to play Blackout Hong Kong again and try that one and see if I like that one after having played the other one. All right. We're so close, guys. My last little shelf over here. I gotta sneak back behind the chair. Oh, over here. Look at these are all my badges from different conventions. We've got Origins here. All of my Gen Con badges. And all of my Grand Con badges. Okay. This is where I have my Scythe. Legendary box. It's the only way I can fit all of my Scythe stuff in there. Eldritch Horror. This is the one that we will play now more often than playing Arkham Horror. It's still a pretty long game, but it is definitely more streamlined and easier to play, in my opinion, than Arkham Horror. Edge of Darkness. This is one that I'm kind of debating whether this one's going to stay on the shelf too. I like the game, but man, does that box take up a lot of space. but it does use the card crafting system that John D. Clare is pretty famous for. And it also has a really cool kind of cube tower mechanism in it as well. I liked the game. I have to weigh how much I like it against how big that box is, how much space it takes up. Fury of Dracula, hidden movement, basically moving around a map, trying to outwit the hunters. Everybody else plays the hunters, trying to catch you and kill you. Battle Lore, 2nd edition. This one I've picked up because I was interested in the system, but still haven't had a chance to play it yet. I've played Memoir 44, but I have not had a chance to play Battle Lore yet, which kind of looks like it takes that and kind of ramps it up a little bit. Imperial Assault, basically Star Wars dungeon crawler. Yeah, don't know too much about it yet, but I was excited to get that one mainly because I wanted to paint the minis. But I've got so many to paint at this point, I don't know that that'll ever happen. Down here we've got my Mansions of Madness hiding behind this post. And Lord of the Rings, Journeys in Middle-earth, both very similar games. As of right now, I think I like Mansions of Madness better. I know that's... A lot of people might disagree with me there because they like the control of the cards. Personally, I find the cards almost more frustrating than the dice, which is an odd thing for me to say. But I don't know. I think we've got one scenario left in the base box of Mansions of Madness, and then we're gonna get started, kind of diving more into Journeys in Middle-earth. Down here we've got our Marvel Dice Throne, the Battle Chest. Really love that game. This is the game that I would kind of play over King of Tokyo now at this point. Kind of a similar Yahtzee style rolling dice, try to knock your opponent down type of game. And then Gloomhaven. You probably know Gloomhaven. Everybody knows Gloomhaven at this point. But gigantic game. We don't play it very often anymore. I think at this point, maybe more likely to play it on the app or on the computer than in real life, just because of the amount of time that it takes to set up. And then over here we've got Pathways. This is a really clever flicking game where you're flicking these discs and trying to create a pathway from your side of the board to the other so that you can drop your discs into the last row to score the most points. That one was a Kickstarter that we backed a little while ago. Down here, hiding, we've got Zaya, Legends of the Drift System. Still have not played that one yet. Need to get that one to the table. That one might have to take the place of TI4 at some point. All of my Merchant's Cove. I think I've got everything for it. If not, pretty close. Wayfarers of the South Tigris, great game. One of my favorites of the last year. Heroes of Land, Air, and Sea. That one was gifted to me. I like that one quite a bit. But it's another one of those where it's a little bit in the same vein as the area control games that we talked about down here. I've got a lot of other ones that kind of do a similar thing, so I don't know if they will stay. All right. That is it for the games.
All right, there it is, my game collection. So far, anyway. It's always shifting and changing. I try to be pretty good about clearing space for new games because honestly, we're about at capacity at this point, so we can't let it grow too much bigger. So I'll go through and cull games from the collection usually a few times a year. If anyone's curious what that process looks like for me, just let me know. I can do a video on that as well. And now on to the really fun stuff. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I wanted to do a board game giveaway as a thank you for all of your support. So I'm going to be giving away one copy of Dune Imperium along with the Rise of Ix expansion. Now, right off the bat, I did purchase both of these items, and this video is not sponsored by, nor do I have any affiliation with Dire Wolf. This is going to be limited to one entry per person, and also due to the cost of shipping, I am limiting this to entries within the United States. I'm sorry to all of my friends from other countries. So if you want to enter this giveaway, there will be a link in the comments down below. Follow that link and fill out the information, and you'll be entered. We're going to draw the winner randomly on Sunday, March 10th, so you'll have a week to get your entries in. So there we go. Good luck to everyone. And once again, I want to say how grateful I am to all of you who watch, comment, like, and subscribe. I love this community that we're growing, and I'm so happy that you all have joined the Brew Crew. And until next time, let's get another round for the table.
Le Herber.